Okay, got it. All right, thanks. Okay, so just to introduce myself, my name is Min Chiat. I'm a Vice President, Project Development and Design from CapitaLand Development. With me in the room somewhere is John Lee, who's Head of Architecture. And I'll just take you quickly through our challenge statement. But before that, I think most of you will know about CapitaLand, but just to give a little bit more context. CapitaLand consists of two groups. CapitaLand Development is the arm which designs and develops our projects focusing on Singapore, China, and Vietnam. And CapitaLand Investment is the arm which holds the real estate trusts and funds. It contains the CapitaLand Ascendas REIT, the CapitaLand Commercial Trust, Ascott Hospitality Trust, and so on. So what usually happens is CapitaLand Development will develop the buildings and then divest it to CLI to own and to operate the buildings. And our portfolio covers quite a wide geographical range, but focusing on Singapore, I think we basically cover every asset class from mixed-use integrated developments to offices, business parks, industrial, retail, residential, and lodging. So CapitaLand has a set of internal design guidelines, which we use to guide the design of our buildings to ensure that they meet our product DNA and standards. These guidelines go beyond what the authorities require, so they are special and unique to CapitaLand. And our consultants need to follow those guidelines, internal architecture as well as M&D design guidelines when coming up with proposals. But what happens is currently the reviewing of the proposal to check that they comply with our guidelines is quite a manual process. We have internal design managers and project teams who conduct manual checking of the designs, whether they be in 2D CAD drawings or 3D BIM models. And we find that it's a very time-consuming process. Sometimes there's oversight and human error, things are missed out. And sometimes it leads to discovery of non-compliances further downstream. So that holds up the process. The design may be pushed back. It delays the internal design approvals. There needs to be some redesign. And occasionally it results in delays and cost implications. So what we really hope to look for in this challenge is to come up with an intelligent system, an AI-powered system that may help to replace the manual checking of designs against our internal design guidelines. A system that can provide feedback on non-compliances, that can identify where in the design of the model the non-compliances are, which guideline it does not comply with, and additionally, we are looking for something that may also use AI capabilities to suggest refinements or improvements to the designs. So we know that this is probably two separate engines, but if possible, we would like to have that value-added function as well. So after detecting non-compliances, can the AI or the software suggest enhancements, optimizations, alternative layouts or designs, complying with CLD's internal design guidelines, and again, to replace human testing of options and alternatives and to cut down on the time and manpower needed for that process. So the outcomes, we hope to reduce human oversight and errors, to improve the accuracy and the rate of detection of compliance issues, to detect non-compliances early during the conceptual design stage to prevent downstream issues, and to improve our quality, to be able to trace the design development and the quality of our designs, the designs of our projects, to improve productivity, reduce the time required to check designs, and further time savings if the software can also help to suggest improvements and optimizations to the design, right? And with that, we hope to free up our design managers from mundane checking to focus on more value-added tasks, right? Design research, looking at new ideas and innovations. We hope that it can be scalable as well. Possibly, we're looking at focusing on a selected set of guidelines for this exercise, but in future, possibly it could be extended to more asset classes. We might be able to extend it to our design guidelines for other countries, for example, in Vietnam and in China. But for that, it needs to have multi-language capability to be able to read other languages, particularly Chinese, right? And to be able to develop a compliance dashboard with historical learning, to be able to learn from past non-compliances and to continuously improve the level and the rate of compliance with our guidelines. So the technical requirements, I think most of these are in the challenge statement, so I won't go into them in too much detail, but we are hoping for something which is able to read native Revit or ArchiCAD models, because that's the normal format which consultants submit their proposals in, right? To be able to take our guidelines, turn them into rules that can be used to check and verify compliance of the proposals. We occasionally update our guidelines, which are stored in a central SharePoint folder. So the system should be able to also read the updated guidelines, to version control, and to be able to identify the latest version of the guidelines. And to be able to, again, I mentioned, to handle both 2D and 3D drawings, right? So the core requirements and the additional requirements, again, I won't go into too much detail, but please ask questions if you need any clarifications on those, right? A few operational considerations. We have developments in a wide range of asset classes, and there's also quite a wide range of sizes and complexities, from very small and simple projects to very large and complex integrated developments. And the solution should be able to read and check across the whole range of different types of developments, right? I mentioned that it should be flexible and robust enough for us to be able to scale across different regions and different countries. The tech savviness of our design managers and project teams and even consultants may vary. So hopefully it is something which is quite user-friendly. It doesn't require extremely detailed technical knowledge to be able to use and apply the solution to check the designs. And finally, intellectual property. Our guidelines are our IP, and we restrict access to our design managers and selected project team members. So the safeguarding of the intellectual property, prevention of unauthorized access or distribution of the guidelines is also a key consideration when coming up with the solution. So I'm just going to give a quick run through of the samples of the guidelines that we have. CLD will support the pilot using BIM models from live projects. We'll provide access to the guideline documentation in our SharePoint portal. We provide feedback from internal design reviewers, those who are carrying out the design reviews right now. And we also try to validate the time savings against actual project timelines, right? We propose to conduct this pilot on 3 sets of guidelines. Our CapitaLand HQ guidelines for residential, retail, and workspace. And here you can see the contents of each of those guidelines. But the number of requirements and guidelines within each of these sections may vary. The simpler ones, maybe about 10 to 20 guidelines. The more complicated ones, toilets, for example, may run into several dozen or even up to 100 different requirements or guidelines. Right? So please take that into consideration when scoping the proposal, and whether we should do it in phases, because we know that turning those guidelines into rules may actually be quite a time-consuming process. Our guidelines fall into 3 categories. Number one, quite measurable and quantitative guidelines. So minimum space requirements, minimum height, width, minimum spacing, and so on, quite easy to measure. We also have specification requirements, different types of materials, whether the system is able to read those if they are tagged appropriately. The second type of guideline is spatial relationships, right? Certain spaces to be grouped together, certain spaces to be arranged in a certain sequence, whether the system is able to read and highlight non-compliances for those. And the third one is more the qualitative or design-related requirements, achieving certain kind of design intentions, achieving a certain look and feel, achieving a certain ambience. Probably those we think still need a human to come in and evaluate those. But again, we would appreciate if the innovators could suggest whether it's possible for the system to be able to evaluate that to some degree as well. Right. So we have guidelines that just specify simple dimensions, dimensional requirements, M&E guidelines which specify requirements for certain M&E provisions, number of lighting points, power points, and so on. But toilet guidelines are mostly quite quantitative in nature. Guidelines to do with the building design, the core, the floor plate, the floor-to-floor heights, things like that. Guidelines to do with parking and back of house. Again, those are mostly quantitative requirements. So thanks. I'll just end it here, and just please feel free to let us know any questions, and we'll try to answer them. Thanks.
Thank you, Min-Chat. Right, just opening up the floor for questions. Please type in your questions. I think meanwhile we wait for the questions to come in. Min-Chat, I just want to check, have you tried any other solutions in the past, and is there any learning from there?
At the moment, no, we haven't tried using software or AI to for this particular task yet. Yeah.
Got it.
So this would be a first for us.
Right. And besides the requirements that you have actually shared during the session just now, are there any other consideration that that the potential solution provider should take into consideration?
Okay, I think the ability to read guidelines covering not just dimensional requirements or things that are easy to measure, but if the system is able to read guidelines that cover specifications for materials, for example, or that would take it to the next level. So I think we are hoping that as many of the guidelines as possible can be covered by the AI or the software, and that reduces to a minimum the amount of actual checking that needs to be done by humans. So I think we feel that maybe the more qualitative or design-related requirements, then we may still need a human to come in, but whether most of the rest can be covered by the software solution.
Got it. Thank you for that, Min-Chat. We have a few questions. First one is from Saran. Thank you, Min-Chat. Can you please share some examples? Second. Yeah, can you share some examples of spatial relationship verification?
Okay. Okay, for spatial relationship, maybe I'll just go back to one of the slides that I flashed. And if you can see my screen, so this is a guideline on the residential unit layout, right? And spatial relationships include things like, if you look at number 2, the zoning, the location of the rooms, living, dining, and kitchen area should be separated from the private bedroom area. Bathroom, yard, and kitchen to be grouped together. Keep bedroom doors away from living area. Things like that. Right? And for other asset classes like office lobbies, for example, we also have spatial relationships between the entrance, the door, the reception counter, the seating and waiting area, the turnstiles, the lift lobby, and so on. Right? So either in terms of the sequence or the grouping or the location with relation to each other.
Thank you, Min-Chat. Hope that answered your question, Saran. Next question from eSave, Raymond. Will sample BIM and actual guideline document will be provided?
Yeah. Okay, I'm reading from this that whether the guideline documents can be provided during the submission phase, right? Yeah.
I think that can be scoped to the pilot eventually, not during submissions, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm just to double check whether the question in order to come up with an accurate scope, costing and timeline, whether an actual sample of the guideline documents will be helpful to be provided during the preparation of the submissions. Okay, I think we have some concern there because again, it's the IP consideration is there.
Sure. And I believe that can be explored upon selecting the right solution provider with NDA, etc. coming into play.
Yeah. So I think if it might be possible with an NDA, right? So and also whether we might redact some of the actual numbers or specifications from the guidelines before we issue it to the interested parties. At least that will give an idea of the level of detail of the guidelines and what the guidelines cover to help to scope the proposal in more detail.
Got it. Hope that answered your question, Raymond. Next from Casey Ho. I think the first question is similar to the previous question.
Yes.
Second one, we might need to be selective on first batch pilot. Is there any number of rules CLD is expecting?
Yeah. Okay. Understand where that's coming from, because I think if we cover all the different guidelines at the same time, that may run into quite a lot of rules. I feel that it may be possible to scope it so that we do the first batch pilot, say on residential guidelines, which are our most frequently used guidelines right now. Quick count of the number of rules that might arise. I came up with a number of about 300 to 400 key guidelines or rules that may arise just from the residential guidelines. And whether, Casey, you think that there is something which is doable on the first batch pilot, or we need to cut it down even more to test it on a more smaller set of guidelines first to make sure that it works before we start to expand to the rest. I think we can consider that rather than start up too ambitious and then bog down the entire development and piloting process.
Hope that answered your question, Casey. And I believe the next question from KK Chua is also similar to that, which is, given that the number of guidelines to check against, is it up to the solution provider to see how much we can cover during the prototyping phase?
Yeah. Okay,
Then,
so I think we are open to discussing maybe a more limited pilot on a smaller set of guidelines to see that it works, and then after that to scale it.
All right, hope that answered your question, KK Chua. Then the final question is, how is the platform access and licensing? How is the platform access and licensing? I assume vendor to arrange with CLD.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, so we are open to discussing with the vendor on the licensing requirements and arrangements.
Got it. Yeah, I think with that last question, we can wrap this session. Thank you very much, Min Chat, for taking us through this challenge statement. And if there's